Get ready to have your mind blown. The recent events surrounding the Third Temple have shocked the world, and you won't believe how these things will impact our future. So get ready to uncover the unbelievable truth. Those who believe in the literal fulfillment of the biblical covenants for the Jewish people and the land of Israel recognize that rebuilding the temple is part of this promised future. This passage refers to the Messianic age, when all of Israel will be saved and restored to its homeland. At that time, the Messiah, a righteous descendant of David, will sit on the throne in Jerusalem, and the temple will be rebuilt, complete with the Levitical priesthood. Is there any evidence of preparation for a third temple in Israel today, if this is to be the future reality? Since 1987, when the temple movement began planning for the rebuilding of the Third Temple, efforts to make this a reality in the 21st century have been slow. While modern Israel and a large percentage of the Jewish people worldwide are secular, Orthodox Jews do not believe that these people will play a role in the temple's rebuilding because it is a spiritual work. Orthodox Jews are the ones who resurrected the Sanhedrin, the religious body that oversaw halachic issues concerning the temple, and who want to see it rebuilt properly. The importance of rebuilding the temple to Orthodox Jews stems from its role in the redemption of the world, which they believe can only occur once the temple is rebuilt. Gershon Solomon is the director of Temple Mount Faithful, an organization that has been attempting to prepare Israeli society for the rebuilding of the temple through demonstrations at the temple site, the construction of a cornerstone for the Third Temple, and the production of various temple-related utensils. Building the Third Temple is an act that must be done to complete the redemption of the people of the Bible in the land of the Bible. Solomon has said, "I cannot imagine an Israeli state or Israeli life in this country without the Temple Mount at its center." Many religious Jews, however, oppose the idea because they have adapted a diaspora mentality and a spiritualized way of thinking that abandons hope in the literal fulfillment of biblical prophecies about a future temple. According to Rabbi Chaim Richman, director of the Temple Institute, which has produced all of the ritual vessels required for the temple's function and works to train priests for this work, there is a connection between the need for a new level of spiritual attainment and the temple's rebuilding. The Shekhinah is brought about only through the temple. In terms of our mission as a people, we cannot in any way reach our spiritual status without the temple. Is there going to be a new Jewish temple? Is the temple being rebuilt any closer today? The international community is strongly opposed to Israelis' claims in Jerusalem, let alone their contested ownership of Temple Mount. On a practical level, Jews are prohibited by Israeli law from praying at the site, and visitors are constantly accosted by Muslims, such as the women in black who keep a constant vigil on Jewish presence at the site. Furthermore, the Islamic authorities officially deny the existence of a temple on the site. Nonetheless, recent developments have aided the temple's movement's goals and the realization of the temple's reconstruction in our lifetime. In response to the charge that the site of Al-Aqsa Mosque, which Muslims believe was built by Abraham, was once a place for Jewish ritual preparation for entering the temple, archaeologists discovered in decades-old research that the site of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which Muslims believe was built by Abraham, was once a place for Jewish ritual preparation for entering the temple. A report filed by the British archaeologist Robert Hamilton, who documented excavations of the mosque's foundations after it was destroyed in an earthquake in 1927, provided evidence for this. He discovered the remains of a Jewish mikveh beneath the mosque's floor, a ritual pool used for purification. It dated back to the Second Temple period, when Jews bathed here before entering the temple's precincts. These discoveries, which were kept hidden deep within the British Mandatory Archives Department because they embarrassed Muslim officials, now provided evidence that the ancient temple stood on a modern Temple Mount and was a Jewish presence. Rabbi Richman, who is also a member of the Sanhedrin, only 9 red heifers were used in preparing the waters used to purify Jews between the first and second temples, a period of approximately 1,000 years. The 10th, according to Jewish tradition, will be used by the Messiah. Richman and other Temple Institute rabbis are providing supervision and guidance in collaboration with an Israeli cattleman who is an expert in animal husbandry. He is using the technique of implanting frozen embryos of red Angus cattle, which originated in North America, into Israeli domestic cattle. A red heifer cannot be transported to Israel for the red heifer ceremony because the animal has never worn a yoke and was born in Israel. The Temple Institute's years of research fusing ancient religious texts and modern science have culminated in this project. The Sanhedrin and the Temple movement also hold reenactments of temple ceremonies for the training of Kohanim, the priestly class. This training includes specialized instruction of priestly duties, the use of ritual vessels designed for use in the Third Temple, and practice on newly constructed altar of burnt offerings, because the people of Israel are required to build an altar exclusively on the site of the original altar on Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount. This altar is unique in that it was designed to be disassembled and quickly reassembled in its proper permanent location. When the time comes, it will be reassembled on the mount in the temple, allowing sacrificial service to resume immediately. While the temple movement works to rebuild the temple, most recognize that some political action is required to reverse the current situation of Muslim control of the mount in order to allow Jewish access. This could be happening right now. In its ruling, opinion of the issue of the works of the Temple Mount, Israeli Supreme Court stated, "The reality on the Temple Mount is by no means simple. It is extremely delicate and complicated. This is one of those cases where a judicial ruling is not the reasonable way to resolve the dispute, and such a decision goes beyond the bounds of law. The political echelons, not the courts, must give content and meaning to the historical call. The Temple Mount is ours, in other words. This must be a political action, not a legal one. Those who understand Daniel's prophecy of the 70th week understand that a future political leader, the Antichrist of Revelation, will one day make a deceptive covenant with Jewish leaders, leading to the rebuilding of the Third Temple. What are the chances of this happening? Given the emphasis on the international community's interest in these sites under the concept of humankind's heritage, representatives from the international community need to be included as mediators and guarantors. According to an academic book on the politics of the Temple Mount, these would most likely be drawn from regional powers such as the Arab League, NATO, or interested states such as the United States, the European Union, and Russia. Any proposed legal regime will necessitate interfaith cooperation comprised of religious leaders from the region. It could be supplemented by international religious leaders who could act as mediators. Those who study biblical prophecy understand that the Antichrist will be followed by both political and religious leaders, making this type of proposal a reality. It is exciting to see these developments in the land of Israel regarding the construction of a third temple as we eagerly await the return of our Messiah.